This is constantly the message that is coming down the pipeline for Black America. We need to celebrate criminals, but when we talk about somebody with a life and a legacy of Queen Elizabeth, well, she's white, so we better see ourselves and perceive ourselves as the victims. Nobody cares about how Black American culture has been suffering. Nobody cares about the inner city communities that have been suffering under people like George Floyd, right? The criminality that is running rampant, people that are getting arrested and released back onto the streets. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to talk about it. In fact, if you do talk about it, you're a racist, right? That's it. You're a racist. If you talk about it and you're a Black person, okay, they won't call you racist. Instead, they will call you, as they have called me, a coon, an Uncle Tom, a traitor to my race, because I have the audacity to talk about the things that are.
She, Candace Owens, who is well known for being outspoken, has continuously positioned herself as a courageous truth teller who bravely addresses challenges within the Black community. Candace has never been afraid to speak out against people and circumstances that she sees as harmful to her community. She has been outspoken in her call for public figures to be held accountable, especially when it comes to fellow Black leaders. Most recently, Candace revealed Tiffany Henyard's mistreatment of Black residents in Dalton.
In color?
Wow. Absolutely not. I actually love Americans with Black skin color so much that I'm willing to fall on the sword 1,000 times for them to wake up and realize that we are being lied to, abused, and used by the Democrat Party.
One of the most heartbreaking incidents was when a Black woman who had been the victim of alleged mistreatment spoke out against Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Dalton, with tears in her eyes, detailing her experience of sharing her pain and the struggle she faced. Tiffany Henyard has been the target of numerous allegations from residents, particularly regarding how she treats the Black community.
The other assistant, just, being in our modes of being an assistant, we're saying stuff out loud, especially if the mayor's there, because she's always doing something, so she wants to hear what we have while she's doing something or whatever. So now that assistant, she'll always say, okay, well, we got this upcoming trip. And then she said the dates, and she said May 21st, and I was like, that's my 31st birthday. I've never been there. I didn't necessarily know if I was going or not, but I definitely said, I want to make that trip. So Tiffany was, telling me this is not, no trip like that. Like this, we're going down there for business. And I said, well, I definitely understand, but I still never been in the vicinity of Vegas. So even if I could just be there and it's my birthday, I would still feel good. But I was like, how hard I work anyway, so I'm not even worried about that. And that was the conversation.
Many members of the community believe Tiffany Henyard is routinely disrespecting and marginalizing them during her leadership, which has led to a rising sense of despair and disappointment. Tiffany Henyard has been accused of treating Black people poorly on multiple occasions during her tenure.
I knew if it was ever happened to me, absolutely not, that I knew justice needed to come immediately. And that's why. So it might seem like it's a now for you, but this has been a long journey for me already. And I've already put my suffering aside, I put my depression aside, I've worked on all that. I did my praying on if I should be sitting in front of you today saying my story. And I'm ready. That's why now. And I'm not just fighting for me no more. I realize that I'm fighting for every woman that's been in my position. I'm fighting for a sister that doesn't have a voice. I'm fighting for a sister that's scared. I'm fighting for a sister who doesn't have a sister.
Her tale has grown to be a potent testament to the general unhappiness in the neighborhood, exposing the purported wrongdoing and lack of assistance that many people experience under Henyard leadership.
Hired a former campaign worker as a code enforcement officer, despite the fact that he had been convicted of a horrible offense against a minor. In what appears to be a blatant effort to discourage someone from running against her, Tiffany successfully proposed a bill to cut the salary from her position to $25,000 a year if someone else defeated her in the next election to be held in 2025. If Tiffany is re-elected, her salary would be unchanged. The mayor used taxpayer money to create personalized billboards in the village. They prominently featured her name and image, even though there was no reason they should. Tiffany hired a former campaign worker as a code enforcement officer, despite the fact that he had been convicted of a horrible offense against a minor. In what appears to be a blatant effort to discourage someone from running against her, Tiffany successfully proposed a bill to cut the salary from her position to $25,000 a year if someone else defeated her in the next election to be held in 2025. If Tiffany is re-elected, her salary would be unchanged. The mayor used taxpayer money to create personalized billboards in the village. They prominently featured her name and image, even though there was no
Due to the
reason.
fact that many residents feel that Henyard has neglected and unheard them during her tenure, and because she prioritizes her own interests over the needs of the people she is supposed to serve. A wave of critical emails and voicemails expressing the community's frustration and disappointment with her leadership style have been sent to Henyard.
Threatening you.
That's correct.
Some of them are, do you mind if I read?
Sure, you can share.
Because I know this could be triggering. I don't know how you feel about this, but okay, you're a effing crook, you ugly bee. You will be in prison soon, so get that nasty, greasy black vagina ready for Shaniqua. The inmates will love to have orgies with the racist, crooked mayor. All right, to move on to some more, hey, grifter, maybe learn to effing speak English sometime. Your grammar is atrocious, but I guess that's what can be expected from a mayor who looks like you do. I mean, these aren't even the worst ones, by the way. I just want to say there's a lot more in here. Mm-hmm. Somebody called you a despicable, savage, monkey, N-word B. Mm-hmm. And told you better watch your back. And then I did hear some of the voicemails. One just says, F all you goddamn N-words. And you are the first black woman to be in this position.
Yes, in both positions.
In both positions, and the youngest.
And the youngest, yes.
So did this start happening once the news was reporting on what, and we're going to get into what the news has been reporting, but did this start happening before the news reported on you or after?
This happened when the news started.
Residents and trustees have frequently described Tiffany Henyard as conceited and haughty, acting as though she is superior to others and mistreating them. These accusations point to a pattern of Henyard's behavior, in which she ignores the opinions and needs of people around her in favor of doing what she thinks is best without seeking advice. Trustees assert that since assuming office, Henyard has behaved unilaterally, making decisions that have had a detrimental effect on the organization, such as acting without appropriate supervision or community input.
Appears to be a big fan of herself. She has her own website where she refers to herself as the People's Super Mayor. She has also used this title in social media posts. On her website, Tiffany wrote about how, after she was elected as the mayor of Dalton, there was much fanfare during the swearing-in ceremony. It was attended by dignitaries from across the state of Illinois. Tiffany mentioned how she was the first black supervisor of Thornton Township. She wrote how this move sent shockwaves across the state of Illinois. Item number 2. Tiffany is active on social media and has made several posts which can be described as grandiose, attention-seeking, tacky, creepy, and demonstrating a profound lack of insight. For example, she indicated that God chose her, and she referred to herself as God's favorite. On Instagram, she declared that she was the most powerful woman in the Southland of Chicago.
The Dalton trustees and Tiffany Henyard are at an all-time low, with the trustees accusing her of mismanaging and disregarding her obligations. Villages Affairs Henyard has asserted that since her election, trustees have not paid their bills, suggesting that this is a part of a bigger scheme to remove her from office.
Until we release the check and pay the bill, we still count it as a deficit.
So you're saying, so you have the money to pay the bills?
Correct.
You're saying your fellow trustees won't pay the bills?
Correct.
Why?
I give you prime example, just to make me look bad. I give you prime example. My job is to govern. That's what a mayor does. I'm an executive branch, they're the legislative branch. When I go get money and bring back to our community many grants, they refuse to pay things for residents. I created a roof and window program. They would not vote to pay the vendors to fix the roof and windows for our seniors and our veterans. Why? The money's there, it's in a bank account, you can see it. Why would they not pay the bill? So therefore, that program got on hold. These are things I created when I became the mayor of Dalton. But yet, people don't see your vision. It's people trying to take over government, and I won't allow it.
When all of this began, this not paying of the city's bills?
So it's funny you asked that question. That's a great question. All this turmoil started right when I became mayor. So that showed me right then and there that the plot was to remove me from office. Right in the beginning, I wasn't even in office for a good month before my board started to sit here and start to try to remove me from my seat that I earned and won by 82%, remind you, 82%, taking out an incumbent that had the seat prior to me.
So when your fellow trustees, let's say Kiana Belcher, she's quoted as saying mismanagement of funds. You're saying, no, it's not mismanagement.
The trustees, however, have taken these allegations seriously, contending that Henyard leadership is mostly to fault for the financial chaos and that she regularly circumvents established protocols in order to forward her personal agenda.
She fired the chief of police because he was investigating all of those credit card receipts and all those claims of her funneling taxpayer dollars into her privately owned cancer awareness charity, which you cannot do. And in one of those investigations that the chief of police was investigating, it stated here in this tweet, and shout out to this person for tweeting this, they said Mayor Tiffany Henyard is one of the most corrupt ever. She actually hired a child. She overpays her police officers to be her security, which what do you need that much security for? You're a mayor of a town with about 20,000 people. One of the officers was paid $13,000 in 2 weeks for 300 hours of overtime. Because nobody believes that. Nobody believes that anybody worked 300 hours of overtime. So this has to be investigated because it looks like these numbers were being padded. So the chief of police, or the ex-chief of police, had his attorney investigate these claims, and they're standing behind them that there were allegations of corruption, and he was investigating them. Now I'm going to do a little bit more digging because I think there's a lot more to know about this Tiffany Henyard story because anybody who shows up to a city town hall meeting dressed like Nino Brown is definitely doing something that...
Adding to the growing list of complaints, a trustee has openly accused Tiffany Henyard of concealing a sexual assault case while sole serving as mayor. Henyard is alleged to have neglected to address or draw attention to the incident, raising concerns about her dedication to justice and openness.
Could have been any one of us. That could have been either trustee. That could be anybody. That's somebody's daughter. And you have violated this young lady. That's like a punch in the gut. To do something as you have done or allegedly have done and to not speak about it, to cover it up. How could you live with yourself? How? I couldn't live with myself even knowing that something like that happened and I didn't say anything about it. Here's a person,
Let me ask you this. Could this young lady said she went to the mayor and loses her job? Could something have been done differently by the mayor who she looked up to, this young lady?
Absolutely. She herself should have launched an investigation. This happened on your watch. You should have taken action immediately. Absolutely. You have a daughter. Do you not feel anything? Absolutely. To do that, you have a daughter. You have an obligation to this village. You are the leader. To let something like that go by and not get involved. You are just as much
that something like this has taken place. It's disheartening right now, and it's disheartening on so many levels. Regardless of what we're going through in politics, this is somebody's livelihood. This is someone that, oh my God, I'm just appalled. This is a woman that I don't know, what has happened, but just even these allegations and for someone to have the leader that's in our community that always speaks on Black women to cover up something like this is outrageous. I'm furious. I can't believe this.
Residents and trustees have frequently accused Tiffany Henyard of being conceited, and self-centered, treating people poorly. These accusations point to a pattern of behavior in which Henyard ignores the opinions and needs of people around her in favor of doing what she thinks is best without consulting them.
Just so you have a bit of an idea of some of the antics that Tiffany will pull off, this is her at a local public meeting dressed up as an infamous criminal kingpin named Nino Brown. As things were mounting and as questions were not being answered, the town voted on a unanimous resolution to probe and look at some of those financial details. And Tiffany herself, who, by the way, calls herself the super mayor, vetoed that resolution. So not only does she serve as the mayor of this village, she's also Thornton Township supervisor. Now, she is being accused of historic misuse of taxpayer funds to the sum of, first of all, using the local police as her own personal security detail, costing up to $1 million. She's also being accused of misusing taxpayer money to pay for lavish trips for herself and collecting a combined salary with the supervisor position and her mayor position of $287,000. This is a small town in Illinois.
Additionally, a number of Dalton locals have claimed that their company licenses and other crucial documents have been purposefully withheld or delayed because they declined to make donations to the Tiffany Henyard Foundation.